Welcome, and thanks for joining me for another episode in the MKO at Home series. My name is Kelleen Casey, and I work for the Keck Observatory. I'm going to be giving a brief talk today on the myths of modern telescopes. So prior to working at the Keck Observatory, I had never seen a modern ground-based telescope. So I don't think it's too surprising that I thought they looked like they do in the cartoons. We're pretty close. After working there, though, I have realized that there's a lot of things wrong with these pictures. The first myth I'm going to talk about is number one, only because I think it actually annoys the astronomers more than any of the others. And that myth is that the telescopes themselves protrude outside of the dome. So while domes come in all shapes and sizes, from the half spheres like Keck to the more angular ones like the giant Magellan telescope, Super Observatory, or even the whimsically painted smaller ones in Germany, their primary purpose is to protect the telescope and their delicate instruments from the environment. Up on the summit of Maunakea, we can get clouds and wind, rain and ice, snow and sleet, volcanic ash, and probably what is one of the biggest threats to any mirror telescope, the sun. And the domes are there to protect from all of those things. The second myth is that the telescopes are still large black tubes. Now, the mirrors of the telescopes do have to be held in precise relative locations to each other, but we do that now with strong metal frameworks that are as light as possible. So in this photo, one of the Keck telescopes, you can see the secondary mirror in the top right and the primary mirror on the bottom left, and they're held in relative position to each other with an aluminum framework that is light as possible. Myth number three is that the astronomers actually get to look through their telescopes. Large telescopes don't even have eyepieces. All of the light that they gather is sent only to the instruments. So in this figure, you can see how the light comes in from the top left from different stars, galaxies, planets, whatever it is that you're studying, and it comes down and is reflected off this large primary mirror, which on the Keck telescopes is made of 36 separate segments. This large mirror reflects the light back up to the second mirror, also called the secondary, and from there it can go two places. One is it can be sent down to a third mirror or tertiary mirror, where it's sent off to the sides to delicate instruments that are mounted on these platforms called azimuth. Or we can remove the tertiary mirror and send the light straight down through a hole in the middle of the primary mirror to instruments that are actually riding with the telescope on the back in what we call Cassegrain. So this is a photo of our Keck telescope, and up here you again see the secondary mirror. Here again you see the primary mirror. What you're seeing down here is actually a reflection of the secondary mirror as it's seen by the primary mirror. And then in this center here is our third mirror, our tertiary mirror, that can reflect light off to either side to these instruments that are on these platforms called azimuth, or we can move the tertiary mirror out of the way and send the light straight down through the center to instruments that you wouldn't be able to see here that are riding on the back of the telescope. So this would be one of the instruments called Mossfire that ride with the telescope, and you can see it's on like a sled-like mechanism. That's because we take it on and off the telescope because we have more than one instrument that can be in the Cassegrain location. And so the day crew switches out the instruments based on which instrument the astronomers that night need to use for their observing. Myth number four is that the astronomers actually get to be in the dome during observations. It's a lot of work and very little oxygen and very cold up on the summit. So our astronomers and our observers work at our headquarters in Waimea or as far away as observing on the mainland. This is a picture of one of our remote operations room. We have two of them, one for each of our telescopes. And this is where the astronomers spend the night while they're collecting all their data. Or they can work in remote operation rooms at their universities on the mainland. And when COVID-19 first came in and we wanted to limit travel, we actually started allowing the astronomers to work from home and do their observations on their own computers in a method we called pajama observing. Now, even though our astronomers are down at Keck, we do have staff that work every night at the summit, though some observatories no longer require summit staff at night. Myth number 5 is that the observatories are staffed only by astronomers. Keck has over 100 employees, but only a handful of these are astronomers. Most of them are technicians, mechanics, engineers like myself. So here's some of our day crew at work up at the summit, where they maintain our facilities, such as our domes and our shutters and the drives and encoders that are used to control them. We have instrument techs that work on the delicate instruments, making sure that they're functioning properly, that they're at the right temperature, that they're at the right pressure. We have people doing constant maintenance on our mirrors to make sure that they're kept clean and at the right reflectivity, recoding them on a regular basis. We also have a lot of delicate optics and mechanical things that need to be maintained. So the Keck staff is actually made up of engineers, technicians, scientists, and support staff such as finance and human resources, and a handful of astronomers who are expert at our instruments and help our visiting astronomers get the most out of their time at Keck. So now you can enjoy the astronomy cartoons, but also laugh at their inaccuracies. So thank you for joining me today at the MKO at Home series. You can watch our other episodes on our YouTube channel, Maunakea Astronomy Outreach Committee. Aloha.